All right, Jason Rona here. We're in Trenčín, Slovakia for the 2019 IFMAR World Championships. We're sitting here with the new world champion, Spencer Rivkin, doing it up big time, as the announcer used to say at Lake Park in Tampa. He won this probably the most dramatic way in a very special A-main format. Spencer, first tell us a little bit about how this whole thing happened for you and kind of through practice and then into the main events.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was a pretty gnarly main day yesterday, but it really all started when we were sent here for the warm-up race. We did a lot of testing and tuning with the team here and development with the guys that were sent, and it was just a lot of progress that we've made with the cars and knowing what we needed to do for the Worlds. And it all started off with the practice, starting off with what we pretty much ended for the warm-up race, and kind of progressing, getting the car a little better for the different track conditions. It was a little bit less grip initially when we came here for the warm-up, and then the track was actually more grip when we started practice here, so that was definitely a nice thing. And we made a couple small adjustments to the two-wheel drive car, and we got it really good in practice, and I pretty much, at the end of the controlled practice, I stopped tuning my car and just decided, you know what, I just need to drive my car. My car is good enough to go out there and to win. And I left it throughout the whole qualifying and the mains, and the car was just incredible to drive, and made some awesome driving throughout the mains, and got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, I think what was kind of interesting about this race from my perspective is, watching you progress through practice. The first couple runs and in through the control runs, I was like, man, I don't know if he's got the extra speed this weekend to get it done. I was talking with, Paul back home. We were trying to figure out what was going on and who was going fast, what was looking good. And I was like, man, I don't know. I haven't seen the speed yet, from our guys, or and you weren't really on that pace early. But then we got to a practice run where I was like, man, I think I just saw 2 or 3 laps that looked really amazing, and I was like,
Yeah.
Now if we can repeat these, now we're in the ball game, right?
Yeah, you see that spark happen in those towards the end of the seating practices, and I know exactly what you just said, and I felt that, and we had this conversation after those practice runs, and I'm like, I'm building my my aggression out there during the practice, which refers to back to getting more confident, and once you build that confidence and aggression, that's what kind of builds that speed that you needed to go out there and compete with the guys that were going fast at that time. And I was in the B heat for the qualifying, which was oddly funny that David A was in the same qualifier as well. And we were all the qualifiers. Him and I battled it out towards pretty much the whole run of the qualifying, and I would just edge him out for the first 4 qualifiers, and then he actually got me in the last qualifier on the main day. But yeah, it's been pretty nuts.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot. I mentioned to Brent earlier in the week, I was like, man, I don't know if the Associated Cars got it here this weekend. It just, something didn't look quite right when we started. And then, like you said, that end of that practice, all of a sudden, you and David A and all these guys started coming on, and Dustin started looking more consistent. And then we had Una get the top seed, and we were like, okay, now things are starting to flip-flop. The Yokomo guys were showing some pace too, getting quicker, and of course we had Bruno and Martin Bayer, who looked so good with the X-ray stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy to be here at the Worlds. For those who weren't fortunate enough to be here, it's just seriously an emotional roller coaster of just seeing the ups and downs from all the teams of when they're getting their best runs and when they're having their worst runs, and you really have to be mentally strong here at these kind of races. I've been doing some kind of my own strategizing, my mental toughness at home, reading some books, watching some videos, and really when I'm here at these kind of races, specifically like the Worlds, it makes a difference when I talk to people like Brent, my team manager, and Jason Rona from J Concepts, of just seeing what I can do better and I always kind of criticize my runs by watching them from the videos that Thomas post online, and it's just really crazy just to see the progression of how practice went, and then through qualifying. It's just it was incredible to see it happen, and to be a part of it, to work a lot more progress with the team, because it was a true team effort for all of us to do what we did yesterday, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that I kind of picked up on when we were, here is that when you guys did the warm-up race, it was you and Dustin, and you had Sven. You guys were kind of the team warm-up crew there for Associated. Was racing as well, other Associated drivers. But what I felt like was a little unique was you guys went with your input that you took at the warm-up and made some tweaks and some setup changes, and that's what you raced and won with. And I don't think that kind of responsibility has ever been placed on the drivers before without somebody from the factory being present. And I thought that was kind of a nice step for them, that they were able to believe in the input that you guys provided, and it resulted in a win.
Yeah, like you said, it hasn't been they've always had someone from the factory, whether if it's Brent or an engineer, like Cody Newmandahl in the past. And you know what? Associated has taken a different step in a direction of trusting some things and letting us do what we get paid to do. And we made awesome progress here at the warm up. We showed up with we were so far off the pace from the X-ray guys, and Dustin and I and Yona and Sven, we did so much testing, and you know what, we wrote a lot of stuff down. We had a lot of emails going about, a lot of meetings before this big race, and it turned out to be a successful. Sometimes when you come to the warm-up, you sometimes you could get the opposite side of the response, where it wasn't a good showing at the Worlds. But you know what, it paid off for us, and I'm looking forward to doing this kind of stuff further on.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Associated throughout the years with their two-wheel drive buggy, it's obviously the staple of their lineup. It's the one they started with the RC10, winning with Jay Halsey in 1985, and then it's really important for them to, in my opinion, to be very good in this class, and it was very impressive to come here in otherwise very difficult, if not almost impossible situation, and get a win. Like you guys did in Japan, when you won your first one in 2015.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think me and Brent last night were looking at a stat that he brought up. Someone brought it to his attention that Team Associated has won with every platform they've released for a two-wheel drive. The RC10, the B2, the B3, the B4, the B5, and the B6 now. So that's a pretty amazing stat. The heritage that Team Associated has, the tradition that we have at these kind of races is just incredible to be a part of the team and to help develop these kind of cars and to work with these guys that have so much history and experience. It's just been an awesome showing.
Yeah, and for us with J Concepts trying to kind of back you up here this weekend, we took your input again. We didn't do the warm-up. We talked to you quite a bit while you were here afterwards, and we said, hey, we think we're going to need this item, accessory-wise, wing, body, and we went through and we got some of the things either pulled out of the archives from the old days, or we got something new created in time to race. But there were several things that you wanted, you had your mind made up on, and we went with it, and it ended up working out, right?
Yeah, like you said, we came in from the warm up, and then when we finished, I remember talking to you when I landed in like Denver or Chicago. Hey, we're gonna need this and this and this, to these different bodies, the different wings, the different the weights of the bodies and the wings, and to really top it off. I mean, it's been incredible working with you and J Concepts. It's just really completing the package of having these kind of different accessories, because it really made a difference. I think Mayfield and the Yokomo guys were running the F2 body. throughout the practice and qualifying, and then they saw that I switched to the P2 body, and it really helped me be more consistent and be able to have the complete 5-minute run, which was really tough to do that out there, to complete the 5-minute run. And all those guys said that they liked it, and it's pretty awesome that we had the option to finish it off for the World Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I had the question. We were at the Turf Nats, I don't know when it was, a week or two ago now, and they were asking me what products we were the most proud of at J Concepts, and I was like, this is kind of a really tough question because there's so many products and things, and it's hard to narrow it down. But I think the proudest that I am of the products is something that we can work on together with the drivers and bring to an event like this and be able to show what it can do on this level is probably the thing that I'm the most proud of, is that we have had guys like Ryan Mayfield and yourself and all these guys throughout the years that have been so good at delivering with great performances off of a product that started with us in a small way and had an idea, and we said, let's put this in the hands of the top guys and see what it can do. And that's what I think we're the most proud of, is the fact that we've been able to work with the drivers and develop these things and kind of have the big results. And that's what over the years Mayfield's been so good at, is if we release a new product, he's always been so good at winning with it. And now you're kind of following that idea that when something's new and when something's hot and it's providing any kind of an advantage or any type of something performance gain, then you're able to capitalize on it. And I think that's the key as the top end racer, that when you're given something and you're working on something along with the manufacturer, that you can deliver on the other end of it.
Yeah, like you said, it's just been an awesome working with you and J Concepts, to just kind of fine tuning the different kind of pieces, the aerodynamics package, the tires, whatever it may be, the wings, and to really kind of have the opportunity to develop some things that we've made over the years and been a proven product for any kind of, like you said, advantage on the track or to lower the lap times or comfortability. And consistency has been something that I've always been a big a part of just finding any kind of trick out there of just trying to find the advantage, and that's something that we definitely have it covered.
So, let's we'll walk over the car for a second. We won't let Thomas zoom in on this thing because this is still a little bit hush-hush from Area 51, the car itself. But, we'll talk about the body itself, and then you kind of go over some of the J Concept stuff you had on here, and then talk about, maybe your experience with running, because we have there was a little bit of tuning with the front tires here in terms of how many runs you got on them, and kind of go into some of those details a little bit.
Yeah, so obviously, as you can see, the body of choice for this weekend was the P2 body. This was just the normal, traditional lightweight body from J Concepts. As you can see here, this is the old school Illusion 7-inch rear wing. It's funny because there's so many stories about this wing that you told me, and it's funny that we're able to rerun it in 2019.
Yeah.
You said it was made in 2005.
Yeah.
And then as also the center divider is something that really helped the car just straighten up when you got out of the corner to get on the gas. And also kind of helped the car push a little bit on power, which helped not get loose in mid-corner. There wasn't no front end wings on this particular car. I didn't really prefer it on this layout and this track surface. But as for the J Concepts accessories, I ran the J Concepts fin shock standoffs, and in the rear, the new fin black turnbuckles is something that was a super trick that I got later on, or kind of a week or two before the Worlds, and I had to put them on my 2-wheel drive. And then going into the front tires is something that it was a little bit of a question on how many times you wanted to run them and what was the balance for the new rear tires, because we did run new rear tires every single run. It was something that we thought that was the best overall consistency throughout the run. But I think I had 2 sets of fronts to start the week, and I alternated them from each run of open practice to control practice and through qualifying, and I believe they must have at least 6 or 7 runs on them each, and then I went with the newer set through the end of the day or the beginning of the day on main day, which had one less run than the front tires I ran in the 4 qualifiers the day before that. But that pretty much tops off the tire stuff. There was a couple other accessories, the J Comsip's front axles, titanium.
The brace for the servo,
yeah,
usually?
the servo brace, the servo mount brace. I actually like running that because the 2 set screws that hold the servo in actually, when you do take some abuse out there on the track, it actually keeps it in the same spot and it doesn't tweak it and doesn't mess up your sub trim or EPA or the trim. It's something that I've always been running since I believe in 2015 when I won my the first two-wheel drive world championship in Japan. It was just the car looks so sweet with the aero package. It's something that it's so not really traditionally looking two-wheel drive, especially in the States where we run on these high grip tracks. You see this huge giant wing. This isn't the body that I typically run in the States. I normally run the F2, but that's why we have all these different options for these different style of track conditions.
So before we leave, we want to talk a little bit about what's it like running this A2 and A3, max pressure situation. We kind of been there before this year. We've talked about that before. You've had a couple other races where the first main didn't go perfectly, and then you're able to back it up in A2 and A3 and bring it home. This is being a little bit different because the competition level's a little higher, and then there's a lot of media here. You have an interruption between the second main where you have the driver introduction. As a racer, that was always my most nervous situation because you have a lot longer to think about the race, driver announcements, but it seems like you went through it, and I didn't see any signs of it really bothering you, and you really went to work in A2 and A3 and probably ran the best runs of the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was the way the mains went out, I mean, I couldn't have really done it any differently. I mean, I drove the best I could in A-main number 1. I had just a small little slight touch on the pipe and got on 2 wheels and saved it, and David A was able just to squeeze by, and I was actually able to drag him down to pretty much the last 2 laps and just wasn't able to get around him. And A2, I was able to pull away. Obviously, like you said, I'm going to actually back up a second, but I was actually pretty happy with how I drove in A-main number 1. I left it all on the line. I knew that if I didn't crash or had any kind of bobble, David A wouldn't have been able to get around me because, I was pretty confident in my car. I've been confident in my driving, and I believe in myself. I know what my package is all about, and I just had one small little bobble. And then, like you said, with the long period of the time with the driver's introductions, and I really wasn't too concerned about how A2 was going to go. I told myself that this is kind of the occasions where you have to rise to the top, and those are the kind of situations that I want to be good in. And this is the kind of stuff that I try to perfect when I'm practicing and learning about mental toughness and all this stuff. And it's been a tremendous help for me to handle these kind of situations. And I want to go toe to toe with David A and the last 2 mains to win it out because I don't want it to be easy on me. I want to win those races and to earn them. These races aren't meant to be easy. And I was able to squeeze it out in A-main number 2 and force it to A-main number 3. And in A-main number 3, I was actually feeling super excited and ready. I'm like, let's freaking go. I want to go toe to toe. Watching those Rocky Balboa movies.
Yeah.
You got to go toe to toe with those kind of competition opponents, and it was awesome to me and David were actually able to pull away from the rest of the field, and it was just us 2 battling, and it kind of brought some memory back to watching Ryan and Ryan battle for their kind of world championships back in the day when those 2 were we're always side by side racing, and it was just incredible to be able to be in those moments and to hang it through. And I was able to, the last 2 laps, I felt super confident. I'm like, just keep on chugging along. And David had made a couple bobble that got me some more room, and I knew I had it in the bag, and I just brought it over the triple single, and I was freaking stoked, man. I never been so happy in my life, and to do it for myself, and to really prove a point to myself of knowing that I've always been the internet's been so bizarre of just seeing all the different people's responses of I haven't been good on these loose style track conditions. I'm only good on slicks, and I kind of got to the point where it kind of seemed like that was the only opportunities that I got to show that, but I finally had the opportunity to do it for myself and to prove a point to myself, and really got to the point where I want to do this, I can do it, and I got the job done.
So let's go ahead and why don't you thank all the sponsors that you have and the levels of support that you are, and include your family here too. We can't forget them.
Yeah, of course, I want to thank my dad, my family back at home, my mom, my uncle, and of course my sponsors, Team Associated, Hobby Wing, J Concepts, MX, ProTech, A-Main Hobby, Salvox, Fataba, Stick of One, Hobby Action, OCRC, Makita Kicker, and Live RC. And of course, the guys like you, Jason, and Thomas here from J Concepts, always doing the cool social media stuff, has been tremendous. Pretty often to be a part of the crew, because I know what if I'm out at a race, watching you guys do all this cool social media stuff, it actually makes a pretty cool bonus to watch. And of course, my team manager Brent and all my teammates here for giving me the support and help to do what we did this yesterday. It definitely wasn't a one-man show. This was a full team effort from all of us, and I'm glad that we all got the job done.
All right, well, thanks. That's your new two-wheel drive IFMAR World Champion, Spencer Rivkin, giving us the lowdown on how it happened and what it takes to get there. And thanks again to Spencer. Congrats, and we look forward to watching some four-wheel drive. This is going to be amazing. Track change is done, and I can't wait for it to start. And again, congratulations.